Hello, this is Aline from MasterYourWeb. You're watching HTML tutorial for absolute beginners, and in this video we'll talk about how to add image to your website. So let's begin. We can all agree that having images to a website makes it more appealing. For instance, if you look at the website that I have, which is MasterYourWeb.com, you can perhaps agree that without those images, the website wouldn't have looked that good. So we have multiple kinds of images. We have logo images, we have background images, we have regular images, and of course much more. So let's actually add some images. For that, I would like to download some images, which is the Google logo and the Facebook logo. So inside Google, we will write Google logo. We will go on images. We will click on the first one. We will right click on it. We will click save link as, and we will give it the name of Google logo. Hit save. Next, we will write Facebook logo so that we will download that as well. I will go into the first file, we will right click on it, we will save image as, and we will write Facebook logo. We close that, and we close that as well. Alright, so now you can see that besides our project of HTML tutorial 1, we have the Google logo and the Facebook logo image. Now let's actually try to open our project. Open with code. Delete the previous text. And the way we construct our tag for the image is as following. So we will have the opening tag, we will write img from image, then we will add a space, we will add an attribute called source, and we will write it as src is equal to double quotation, and then space, and hit the slash, alright? So basically, as you can see, the image tag is a bit different from the other tags, since it's called a self-closing tag, meaning that it won't require any additional closing tags. Alright, so let's head back to the src. So the src attribute comes from source, and it's basically a pointer to the path of the image that we want to add. So in our case, since we have the image in the same folder, what we can do is basically we have to take the name of the image and put that one over here. So it's gonna be like google-logo.jpg. So it's really nice because the Visual Studio helps us in that process. Alright, and then we will create another image tag with the src of Facebook logo.png, and we will close that, hit save, and open the HTML tutorial 1. Alright, so we can see that we have the Google logo and the Facebook logo. That's really great. But now we can see that the images are too big, right? Especially the Facebook logo. But the interesting part in working with images is the fact that we have a total control over their width and height. And that is done through some attributes called width and height. So let's actually go into the Visual Studio Code, and for the Google logo, we will write width is equal to double quotation, and we will write 300, and that's basically the width of 300 pixels that we will want the image to have. And we have another attribute called height is equal to, let's add also a 300 pixels, and we will do the same for the Facebook, and we will see what the outcome will be. Okay, hit save, let's refresh. Alright, of course the proportions, especially on the Google case, are not that good, but still it proves the fact that we have a total control over the width and height of the images. And in order to demonstrate it, let's actually hit inspect, and if we hover over the img source, we can see that the width and the height is equal to 300, right? And for the Facebook icon is going to be the same. Great! Now that we have added those images, what if we would like to have an image from the internet? We can totally do that. The only thing that we must know is going to be the URL of that image. Now let's take a look at the example. And for that, we will write on Google Facebook image JPG. So the JPG is an image format. We will click on the first one, and we will go into this URL. And if we click on this image, we will be presented with this link. Let's try to copy it and go into Visual Studio Code, and we will paste it, hit save, go back into HTML tutorial 1, hit refresh, and now you can see that the source of that image is being taken from the upload.wikimedia.org, right? That's pretty awesome as well. Great, so that's the basics on working with images, and now it's going to be time for our exercise. And this one is going to be a bit complicated, but hopefully interesting. So the thing that we would need to do is first to download an image from the internet, second, paste it into our folder, and third, create a link to google.com, which will open every time you click on the image. Good luck! Alright, so let's actually solve this together. So the first step was to download an image from the internet. Let's actually go on Google and hit 9gag icon. We will go into the first link, we will right click on it, we will click Save Image As, and we will write the file name of 9gag icon. Okay. Now we will head back to Visual Studio Code. We will hit enter a couple of times. And the first thing that we have to do is basically create the image, right? And so for that we will have img src is equal to 9gag icon.png. We will hit the closing tag, and let's give it a width of 100 pixels and a height of also 100 pixels. Okay, let's save it. And we'll go into our website. There you go. You have the 9gag icon. Alright. And the next step is going to be a bit tricky because we have to create a link to google.com, which will open every time we click on the image. Alright. But how do we actually do that? Well, I think that we all remember from our previous videos that we can create links if we use a href, right? So let's try to create an href, which is equal to http google.com, and inside of it we will write google.com. Let's try to save it. So basically we have the link to Google, we have the image, and the final step is basically to add the image inside of the href tag. And for that, we will delete this text, we will hit enter a couple of times, and what we can do is basically take the image tag and add it over here, right? So let's try to save it, and boom, there you have it, right? So this is a pretty awesome thing because it's being used in multiple images, and that is the fact that you have the option to have a logo or something, and basically when you click on it you will be redirected to another website. So that thing is pretty used, and that is done with this mechanism, right? You have an href which will link to a specific URL, and inside of it you basically have an image. Great, so that was all related to the images. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and on the next one we will be talking about attributes. We have been talking about attributes a bit in previous videos, but on the next video we will talk a bit more about them, so we can hopefully learn what they are and how can they be useful to us. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the content and if you consider that it's at least 1% relevant, then please leave a like, a share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you on the next one.